Saturday, June 11th. See if this. Okay. Interesting, something to note. It seems like the screen goes to sleep for a while and then you have to reactivate that pointer again, so it doesn't want to scroll. You have to give it a little reactivation. Anyway, Inuvik got to 7 yesterday, balmy 7, 51% RH. Norman Wells, geez, they were 24. It's warm in the valley, that's for sure, and 41% RH. Fort Simpson, 29, just about 30. It's not a record. 31 or something is a record, but that's pretty close. And down in the 20s for RH is there at Fort Simpson, 21. So that's pretty deep crossover. That was Fort Simpson. Likewise at Liard with 27 and 22% RHs, so pretty darn dry in the valley there yesterday. Yellowknife was 19, around 36% RH, but Wati there got to 25, so there was some pretty warm pockets. Maybe you got closer to the lake that got a bit of a lake effect, then 28% RH in Wati. Smith, 22 and about 32% RH. Hay River near the lake, 19, but then you get a little farther away from the lake, or on the other side, and you get Port Providence, that's 26, 23% RHs, and Grumbler was 26 and 24, so lots of crossover there as well, and conditions will be much the same today, but add some wind into it, as I'll show you. So Fort Chip was 27, they got to 27, 33% RH, but Garden River got all the way down to 23, so lots of RHs in the 20s and maybe into the teens for today in these southern areas. So pretty aggressive fire conditions. So looking at the lightning, that was a little quicker transition. Okay, there's this whole frontal zone that's laying across just sort of south of Great Bear Lake, and that's where the sparks were yesterday, and it doesn't move too much today, so it kind of hangs in the same place, maybe slumps a little bit southward. But there's some pretty good sparks along there, and then up over the mountains as well, and some into the valley. So looking at 500 millibars, where we got at 500 millibars, sort of there's still this upper ridge that's maintaining these hot, dry conditions for today, and that'll be another day of that. And like I say, there's this frontal zone there. You can sort of see it in between the two flows south of Great Bear Lake. The interesting thing over the next, over the next week will be this big low down in southern BC. And it's just going to kind of stay around there. And the whole pattern will get kind of depressed, so that you just have a great big trough down to that low and then hooking up like that. And it'll be kind of a cool, depressed pattern over the NWT with the big long wave trough. But the interesting thing about this thing is with this low down southwestern BC, the storm track is going to be kind of up from the southwest and then just about sort of across the Slave Lake. So a little bit different. You don't see that all that often. Usually you're looking at things coming from the west. In this case, they're becoming sort of from the southwest. So looking at the surface pattern, we got it. There's this bit of a low in the valley. Might be more of a thermal feature than anything. And like I say, I got this old frontal zone that's hanging across just south of Great Bear Lake, and some cloud and the odd shower, and it'll probably get unstable along there. Again, like it did yesterday, and then it's this high down in Saskatchewan, eastern part. We're getting a pretty good southerly flow across the South Slave area and North Slave and that. So that's adding to the fire conditions for today for sure. Looking at the satellite picture, there's this big low that's coming up from Alberta. Like I say, the storm track is kind of like this and up over Slave Lake. So it's coming, it's making its way northward, and that'll be a player for tonight and into tomorrow as it spreads some cloud and showers into south of the lake area. So that's the big feature to watch for tonight and tomorrow. So I'm just going to go to I'll just go at 500 millibars quick here. You can see this upper low that's in Alberta, and like I say, the storm track is carrying things up towards Great Slave Lake. So that's the path for the or for the systems coming in. So looking at the prog for this evening, like I say, there's this low down in southern or central Alberta, and it's spewing some cloud, some of that cloud just towards the border. Some of it, some of the higher stuff might infiltrate south of the lake. So RHs might be a little bit dicey depending how much of that cloud gets in, and it might keep things a little bit moister than what I got them, but I'll go with the more pessimistic view, I think, for today. So pretty hot and dry and some extreme fire weather for the southern areas. Most of the areas south of this frontal zone that's hanging around there just slumped a little ways to the south. So you look at areas like, say, Wood Buffalo and southeast winds 20 gusting 30. Northern parts you get around 25, and RH is getting down in maybe as low as 15% or 15 to 20 kind of thing. A little moisture in the south there with around 30%. And then south of the lake into Smith, 25 for a high, 15-20% RH is there. And 20 southeast 20 gusting 30 for wind. So that makes for some pretty extreme fire weather. If there was some fires going, it would be pretty dicey, that's for sure. The Hay area, 27 for a high, 15% or so RHs, southerly winds, 15 gusting 30. Similar conditions into Caribou with the southerly winds gusting up to 30, and 24 or so for highs, 20% RHs. So you can see some pretty deep crossover in those areas. And in the south part of the North Slave area as well, south of that front, with kind of a southwesterly wind there, 20 gusting up to 35 and 27 for a high in the areas kind of south of that frontal zone, and down to 15% or so RHs there into the valley. Decho getting 29, gosh, you might even touch a 30 there today, and about 25% RHs. And the wind's not quite as strong in that band there, 10 southerly gusting to 25 or so. Similar things in Liard, about 27 or so for a high and around 20% RHs. And you get north of that front, you get into the cooler air, obviously, and so get up to Decho and, Satu, and northwesterly or northeasterly winds, 15 gusting around 25. Around in the mid-teens, 16 or so for a high and 35% RH. And the Nuvik up there, they get influenced by some other low that's way up into the north. So winds change around there, southerly 15, gusting to 25. Not a bad day, 15 for a high, 45% RHs for sure. So the main theme is the hot, dry, extreme fire weather in the southern areas around Slave Lake, Caribou, and then into the southern Decho for today. On Sunday, the progs here, okay, well, it's a little quicker. At the surface, they're forming this low that they've taken up from central Alberta and that, and it's just sort of north of the border or just south of Great Slave Lake now, and getting a pretty good healthy gradient in around the thing on the eastern and northern side. So increasing winds there. I guess the big deal is going to be like where all the showers going to be with this thing. And you look at this precip, and it looks like they're sort of staying in the western part of the North Slave, maybe Yellowknife and west and eastward. I say western, eastern part. And then maybe over Smith and Caribou, and it's dicey whether much is going to get into Hay and maybe even a dry slot into there and into Wood Buffalo Park. So looking at my prog for Sunday, Sunday evening, got this low that's just south of the border, pretty healthy low, like at 995, so it's creating a pretty good gradient, like you saw around the eastern flank and the northern flank of it. And then the showers and the cloud and the showers pushing up northward. Like I say, how far westward they can push, that's going to be a tricky one, because there looks like there's some westerly winds trying to push into Wood Buffalo for maybe tomorrow afternoon, and then maybe north of west into Hay. So could be a lot drier conditions than what I've got on the prog here. So it's something to watch for there. They might not get much of the shower activity that the more eastern parts are going to get. So when we look at, say, Smith here, getting into the showers tomorrow, and certainly, that drops the temperatures way down, 10 degrees or more, so only maybe 15 or so for highs, and up in the 70s or so for into the showers, similar into Caribou down to maybe 12 degrees there, and then they get into the strong gradient, southeast 30 gusting 40 kind of thing. A lot lighter gradient around that low, going back to Smith, kind of easterly 10 gusting 20. Obviously, exact placement of this low where it's going to be, and that's going to affect the wind. So if it's maybe a little further south, you might get into some stronger winds through Smith. If it's a little further north, then you get into kind of a more variable pattern for around the South Slave area. And then you go into North Slave. Let's go up North Slave there. They're in a pretty strong gradient there like we saw, and even maybe a bit of a low-level jet that's wrapping its way around to there too to add a bit of oomph to the winds. And they're easterly kind of thing, 30 gusting 45, and they're not really into the good showers or anything for the most part through the day, so you could still get some darn low RHs, 25% or so. So you get those strong winds and the low RHs. That's pretty aggressive for fire weather up north of the lake as well. And there might even along that old frontal band or the front, it slumps down a bit, but you might get some thunder showers as well, still staying around there. As well, like today, the same idea too. I didn't mention that, but could be some thunder showers there still hanging around that old frontal zone. Maybe 22 for highs. And you get into, say, around Hay River. Like I said, is there going to be a dry slot coming around there? It's hard to say. It looks like, hey, there's a good chance that it's not going to get much showers into there. Maybe the real eastern parts, so kind of northwesterly winds, 15 gusting 25. 18, I said 50% RHs, but you get into that drier air and it could go down to 30 or so. So we'll see how that pans out. Wood buffalo winds kind of westerly, 10 gusting 20. They're closer to the low and the lighter gradient. Around 18 for a highlight. I said 60% RH because they're close in their showers. But again, if they get into that dry air, they could go down into the 30s for RHs. So, like I say, we'll see how that plays out in the next little while. You get into Decho, the southern part especially, and still pretty warm, 25 for a high, 25 RH. So, still crossover conditions. Winds are starting to go more or less around to the northeast, 10 gusting to 20 in most section as that front edges its way southward, and they actually get some influence from that low as well. That's pulling the winds around to the northeast. And Liards, northerly winds, 10 gusting to 20, they're around 25 for a high, 30% RHs. And you go up into Sawtooth, they're getting more of an influence for some kind of a trough or low up into the north there. So southeast winds, 20 gusting to 30 around there. And getting kind of warmish again there. If they don't get much cloud cover, and that's not bad, getting up to around 22 or 20, 35% RHs and a pleasant day other than winds in Inuvik. Southeast, 15 gusting to 30 or so, and around 19 for a high there. So we're going to watch this old low and where it goes and where this dry slot's going to wrap down around there, whether they can get much for showers into hay and wood buffalo or not through tomorrow. So we'll go into Monday. Okay. And this low on the surface, it just kind of wanders around Slave Lake. Doesn't move all that fast or very far at all. So once again, you're getting there showers wrapping their way around, and where they're exactly going to wrap and where a dry slot's going to form is a tough one. But it looks more like drier through hay, wood, buffalo there on Monday. And they might not get much precip at all out of this whole thing, maybe just a few scattered showers and westerly winds or northwesterly winds in there too. So getting into that dry slot, like I say, on South Slave, a lot of the South Slave, maybe even pushing into Smith there as well. Still a healthy gradient out into Caribou area with the kind of southerly flow there. And like I say, some showers wrapping around, but a lot of them are getting pushed a little further east. Maybe there'll be some showers still hanging over North Slave part. And if we get this frontal zone kind of giving up, but it might still be around in here somewhere. So could get some of the odd thunder shower in there as well. Let's go to Tuesday. Tuesday, well, that surface low pretty much peters out, gives up, dissolves away, moves away, whatever. Kind of a non-player now. You look at 500, and like I say, you got this big low anchored off over south, just off the coast of BC, southwestern BC, and man, you're getting basically a big trough pattern like this over a good part of western Alberta, most of western Alberta. So pretty depressed pattern, cool for the NWT for most areas, and a lot of change from what we're getting today with the upper ridge. It's pretty well gone, and it looks like this kind of a pattern is going to hang in through most or pretty well all of next week. So once we get through today with the hot, dry, and extreme fire weather, it gets into a lot cooler, more depressed pattern. I really spelled pattern good there. That didn't count. Anyway, on Wednesday, quickly, still that great big trough there. And like I say, the interesting thing is the storm track, it takes it, like from about, Washington or so, and then right up over into Slave Lake area. So there's another good low that's coming up in there. And then you can see at the surface down here, another good, strong, tight low that's heading its way up to Slave Lake. So maybe some more chances for showers. Maybe this time Wood Buffalo and Hay area will get that. But still pretty darn cool. It's dragging some pretty cold air down here. It looks like, highs not getting much more than into single digits there in Decho and Inuvik for towards the middle of the week. So I think I'll stop there. And if you have any questions, and how did the slides transition better or what?
Yeah, I didn't see any issues with the transitions of the slides, so I think that might be the ticket there.
Okay. And the pointer was okay? It moved along decent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all good.
Okay.
Anybody on the phone have a question? Did the regions find the slides moved a little quicker today than the previous few days?
Yeah, they moved really quick and the pointer was faster.
Did the same here. It was good.
Right on. Okay. Well, it looks like we hope we